I think Adam brought up a good point about mobility, right, and mobile devices and cell phones. I mean, I think Eric Schmidt of Google said a few years back now, the first billion people who connected to the internet globally all did it through PCs, mobile devices. There's a few here in the audience, but it was a pretty standard display, standard way of interacting. The second billion people who are getting online are doing it all on mobile phones and other types of mobile devices. So when you think about interactivity and how people can learn and communicate with each other, it's going to be a very different experience on a mobile device, and whether it's an iPad or an iPhone or BlackBerry or something else versus a PC. So I think the onus is really on all of us who are developing applications for learning and folks in the classroom to figure out, well, what does mobility and these mobile devices imply to the learning process? Certainly, you've got more ready access to content and material, which is great. So if I'm sitting at a bus stop and I've got a quiz in 20 minutes and I know I've got 5 minutes to sit there, I can actually look things up. Whereas before, if I didn't have my book with me, I'm kind of stuck. Maybe I can call somebody and maybe they'll pick it up. But now I can actually look and reinforce that information. I can use any one of a dozen ebook apps to quickly refer to something online. I can prep and quiz myself right there, as I've got my phone with me. So I think what we need to figure out is, so what are those applications in ways of interacting with content through mobile computing devices and also new interfaces, right? I think that's one of the other great things that the iPhone and the iPad bring to the world is you don't have to worry about menus and drop downs and ribbons and check boxes and all this other stuff. You just turn it on and you just use it, right? So there's no thought required. But in order to engineer and develop for that kind of environment, you almost have to forget about everything that those of us who are a little older have learned through the Microsoft 3.1 to the launch of the original Macintosh in 1984 to all these other things that we kind of take for granted as seminal events in the history of computing over the last 20 years or so don't mean anything to today's college students. Right? I mean, they were born in the early 90s. To a lot of them, this is stuff that's in history books. Right? The launch of the Apple Macintosh in 1984, yeah, that's a chapter in my history book. Yeah. Netscape, another chapter in my history book. Right? And there's quite a few of us around here who actually remember what those things were and what the browser wars were and everything else. So I think we almost have to forget about what we lived through and what we learned and say, well, what's really happening today, and what does that imply for what could happen going forward?
I would build on that and just say one short thing, and that is